You don't have a trade war with communist China, okay? If it's communist China, you will have an ideology war with China. Communist China will not trade with you.
Your vote means nothing. That's something we Chinese know. And you guys, many of you don't know. And many of you think you guys know China better than our Chinese.
Made in China stuff, 3 years to replace. Check your furniture. Check your toaster. Check your coffee maker. Check your microwaves. Chances are they are more than 3 years old. You are in deeper shit than you realized.
Your Chinese people say, Donald Trump is not a good president, but he's definitely a great businessman. Only 100 days on presidency, he already made himself over $500 million. That got something on teeth, sorry. Yeah, and in the future, in Chinese history book, we're gonna say there was a president from the United States called Donald Trump, and he trying to make America great again, but he every time make China great again.
See, I'm a big fan of free speech also, but the problem is every country has this group of people that just dumb as and they keep making people dumber. And then as I interact with these people, I have two things I'm constantly battling with. One is freedom of speech. The other one is the ability to vote. I totally understand democracy and everybody should be able to vote, but damn, man, we gotta be able to pass the IQ test or something for these people to be able to vote.
You don't have to agree with me, but you have to consider the facts.
One of the indicator of when you know you're in a cult is that you have this hatred against a certain group or certain thing. And you try your best to defend the things that you believe in just to fit that narrative. Now, you know, during one of the most famous cult phenomenon in China, the Cultural Revolution, they basically got young people going to other school and handing out these little red books. Remind me of something that is going on right now.
Okay, this one hurts. I answered the question about the human rights in China. We have different problems. We live in different culture, different society, different political system. And not because you have your problem in your society, then we have to have the same problem in our society. In China, we just don't have the women rights or men rights the thing battle. No, we're just all people. That's not our problem at all. If you ask me, like, oh, you are 37 years old and you don't get married in China, you don't have kids, some people are gonna nagging you about, oh, why don't you get married? Why don't you have kids or something like that? That is our problem. We have completely different problem. Like you have homeless problem, we don't have that. You have gunfire problem, we don't have that. You have the protest thing. Like, why don't you have protest? We don't need it. The government doing a pretty good job. If we have something to complain, we just make a phone call and they will send people dealing with it. When it's many people complain, they will do it very fast. We live in completely different culture, political system. Our government is it's completely different, fundamentally different from your government. You know, it's just different. You cannot always use your Western capitalism standard to measure China. That doesn't work because it's fundamentally different. But on the human being level, we all human being, the same, but something is different. Okay? Says who, bro? Western propaganda or your democracy government?
That criticizing the state of Israel is anti-Semitic. What the hell is going on?
We are in Bagel land. Bagel is 0. You have 0 say.
You know, your democracy government just sounds pretty, but reality is just oligarchs control your president, control your government. Your vote means nothing. That's something we Chinese know. And you guys, many of you don't know. And many of you think you guys know China better than our Chinese.
Well, where everything bad in America is magically someone else's fault. Spoil. China didn't rob you. Your own government did. For years, your politician told you everything was fine. Just blame China, blame immigrants, blame other guy. Meanwhile, they outsource your job, gutter your healthcare, raise your rent, distract you with rage bait and flags. Tariffs, please. America made billions of global trade, then turned around and blew it on bombs, bailouts, and backroom deals. That money didn't go to you. It went to the people you keep voting for. Time to grow up and wake up. Ask a real question. Where did the money go? Who really robbed you blind? I don't think they speak Mandarin.
I really don't want to talk about this topic about the Russia and Ukraine. Also, another two is doing. Don't want to talk about it. China didn't push the war. China always promote peace. China say that many times. And someone else pushed all these wars. And let me give you this example. You are in high school, in your classroom, there is a gossip girl. This gossip girl stirs things up everywhere, making trouble everywhere, making people fighting. Now you are just like being you, living your life, doing your business. And not only this teenager bitch stirs things up, making mess, and this bitch controls the whole world media. Then she use biased information to tell other people, look that guy. That guy didn't help, and he's doing business with the evil one. China and Russia doing business not just happened after the war. It's doing the many years, and China didn't push the war. Someone else pushed it. Do you know who pushed it? And that is not happening one day. That happened many years. I give you this is also another example. Like when I lived in California, United States, I heard so many news on social media, on the CNN or something. They talk about, China gonna invade Taiwan, something like that. But in China, we never talk about that. We never see those things on our news. Our government never say, we're going to invade Taiwan. Never even once. We all say, we all Chinese. We hope they can return. That's what we say. But in that side, they will release all this misinformation everywhere because they control the whole world media. Then they say, why did China invade Taiwan? What the fuck? It never existed. You all believe that bitch. That bitch is a super basic body Karen. He's making trouble everywhere. Then you come to blame the guy who's just living his life, don't want to get involved in all this bullshit. That's my opinion about this. And you really don't know what they have done in Ukraine or NATO, all these things. You don't get all the information. Also, very important, they make lies like they say China supporting Russia for the war. If China really supporting Russia, Ukraine will be long gone from the map. I'm not joking.
My decision to came to the United States from China after college and eventually stay here, work, has a lot to do with a little story I read as a little boy. The story is from Zhuangzi. So he wrote this story about a little frog in a well. And one day a bird came by and told the frog, "Come out. There's a big world out here." And the frog said, "I'm okay. I know the world. It's round. It's right above me. I'm good. I don't want to be that frog, China is big, but it's still part of the world. I don't want my world to be limited. And in terms of family, I saw my family more than a lot of people who live with their family in the same country.
This is probably the best question that I've ever got on this TikTok app. I'll tell you why. I think most Chinese American, Chinese Canadian moved to US and Canada because for the better life, because China couldn't offer that and didn't have the education system, didn't have the good wages, the lowest cost of living. For the first time ever, now seems ever since maybe from, I want to say maybe early 2000s, that has changed, right? However, you have to understand, if you do well in United States of America, I'm talking about, you have a really good job, high salary, like when I say high salary, like over $250 a year, you do really well in United States of America. Like your life is good, but it's going to go downhill from now on, which is terrible. I think that's why a lot of actually Chinese Americans are like struggling, be like, okay, what do we do now? We've sacrificed our life and moved to US and Canada and we're stuck here. The funny thing is, well, not funny, but the sad part is that most Chinese Americans have no way of ever going back to China. You lose your citizenship when you become a US or Canadian citizenship. You don't have your Chinese citizenship. It's very difficult for you to go back because you're really more American than Chinese, right? The working culture back in China is different. Lifestyle is different. So anyways, it's a question I actually ask myself a lot. Like, should I move to China? Moving to China, it's almost like as any American who was born in America or in Canada, imagine moving to China. That's the same feeling that you have with me.
I'll be on my way when all Europeans bring their children back home. Europeans come first, they should leave first.
Morning, guys. How's it going? I just want to talk something about my perspective about the national pride. So, like in the United States, in Europe, in Ireland, in China, a lot of people be like, oh, I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to be Irish. I'm proud to be Chinese. I'm proud to be European. That's absolutely like individual freedom. But for me, Joey Chow, like personally, I have like a different perspective. I'm not proud to be Chinese. Well, instead, I would like to say I like to be a Chinese. Because I think that I'm proud to be something. I'm proud of something. It's a thing that I have achieved in my life. It's that I'm proud of something I've done successfully in my life. Being born with a citizenship or be born in some country is not achievement in my life. So I don't think I should be proud of it. But yeah, of course, I'm happy that China is making a lot of progress. Absolutely. And I like to be Chinese. When I was in the United States, and a lot of people be like, hey, Joey, why didn't you just apply for the American citizenship? I'm like, I like to be Chinese. I don't want to be American. So I enjoy to be Chinese. And in a lot of countries, like I stated in, I feel like a lot of people, they're trying their best to prove that they are someone. Like a lot of people in America to prove themselves to be a real American. In China, a lot of people be like, oh, I'm proving myself to be a real Chinese. Like in Ireland, a lot of people be like, I'm proving myself to be a real Irish. As you can see, some TikTokers, like they're saying something like this. Oh, I'm real Irish. I'm a real American because blah, 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 blah. I mean, for Joey Chow, I'm fine. Most importantly, be myself. You don't need to be like someone. And there is actually, like in different societies, they have like a standard of a structure or something that you have to follow to be a real American, real Chinese or whatever. But I think that's fine. I mean, just be yourself, most importantly, and like yourself. And of course, if you want, you can be very proud of who you are. That's absolutely. Like for me, I'm fine. I like to be Chinese and I enjoy to be myself. being non-ideological and be myself, be independent, and as an individual. And I love this. Thank you so much.
You're obviously not aware of this, but blessed is not a word that the global majority thinks of in association with Europeans. Words like plague and colonizer, maybe, but not blessed. And the cell phone in my hand came from China. So I don't know if you're referencing Steve Jobs or Martin Cooper or the Finnish inventor who created the first pocket-sized telecommunication device in 1917, and you probably don't know either because your education system has left you terribly ignorant and without the critical thinking skills necessary to effectively gather information. Because you believe that most great inventions can be attributed to one white person, as opposed to recognizing that the patent system is how white people colonize intellectual property. We would not have cell phones if it wasn't for the creation of the gamma electrical cell by black inventor Henry T. Sampson. And most of our cell phones would not have microphones in them if it wasn't for the particular microphone that was created by black inventor James Edward West. The creation of the first digital network, 1G, was launched in Japan, and then black electrical engineer Jesse Russell pioneered the creation of 2G, which launched in Finland first. 3G launched in Japan, 4G launched in Norway, 5G launched in South Korea, and 30% of the world's cell phones are manufactured in China. Because we, of the global majority, recognize that collective humanity has the ingenuity and creativity of one another to thank, whereas a lot of European Americans are laboring under the delusion that the rest of us have white people to thank. And it's this narcissistic ignorance that causes people like you to do embarrassing things, like leaving comments about Europeans and cell phones on a video about systemic anti-black racism in the United States. And while that could be written off as a comedic and senile non sequitur, we recognize it as a desperate attempt to center yourself in a conversation that has nothing to do with you. The irony being that white people like to say not all white people and they shouldn't be held accountable for the misdeeds of their ancestors, yet they want to be associated with the greatness of the things that they think they invented.
You don't have to agree with me, but you have to consider the facts, historical facts. I'll give you a couple. One, Chinese majority as race is the Han race, Han ethnicity. Okay, so in the Qing dynasty, the Han ethnicity was oppressed by the Manchu. So Manchu is the ruling race in China. Han is being oppressed. One of the symbol is the pigtail, the long braid. That's Manchus imposed upon Han people as show you subject to their custom. Okay, so at the end of the Qing dynasty, the revolution overturned the Qing government. Han obviously is the majority, and the Qing cannot oppress Han anymore. What happened to Manchu people, right? I can assure you there's no oppression against Manchu people. Han people's mentality is just, let's move on, let's live together, we are all Chinese. And that's what we did. Manchu people, they actually prefer the custom of Han, and they changed their last name to Han last name. It's not by any oppression. And nowadays there's fewer Manchu people, not because racism, it's just because they willingly assimilate to Han. That story is the main story. That's why Han people is the largest group of people. Okay, that's one fact. Another fact is during World War II, when Jewish people are refugees all through the world, I'm sure you know the history that United States actually closed the port, not allowing Jewish refugees to come to United States. At the same time, China actually opened the port. There's lots of refugee Jewish people in Shanghai, another fact. And also today, let's look at another fact. China is always support the two-state solution for Palestine, not United States. That's just a couple facts for you to consider whether Chinese is racist.
Hello, Marga. Do you have eggs in your home? Do you have toilet paper in your home? Oh, you still have it. Wait a few weeks. By the way, this high-quality toilet paper in China, only $2.
Level. I'm putting my neck out telling you this, okay? If today Chinese government told Chinese people that because we don't compromise, we don't negotiate, our economy is going to take a hit, everybody's income half. The vacation you take every year, every 2 years. The coffee, bubble tea you buy every day, every 2 days. And if you go out to work and only can afford to go back home every year, now every 2 years. If your family, 5 people, live in a 2-bedroom, now 1-bedroom, okay? So everybody half the income. And Chinese people will just take it. No problem. Everybody just collectively step back to where they were 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, they make to today with no problem, and they can make it to what they were, no problem again. There's hope, right? We did that. Now we can do that again. So they step back with hope going forward. No problem. Can you do that?
What if that is true? What can you do to help them and bring wealth to all of us? That is the question you should be asking and not stating. I would say the main difference between Western propaganda and Chinese propaganda is that in the West, we like to do anything that is money. Who wants to be a millionaire? Look at how much money I have. Another one is fear. You feed on that. In Chinese propaganda, I would like to say they're very boring, but they try to make science very sexy. I think that's a key difference. And it's funny, we used to do that in the United States where kids want to grow up to be astronauts, but now kids want to grow up to be YouTubers.
No matter who wins the trade war, as a Chinese, I just have one wish. I wish Americans can stop referring China as communist China. You don't have a trade war with communist China, okay? If it's communist China, you will have an ideology war with China. Communist China will not trade with you. Communism and capitalism don't trade with each other. If you trade with each other, so much so, you have to have a trade war to deal with the dispute. That means you are trading so much, and so much not about communism and capitalism. So stop calling China communist China, and maybe you will win the trade war.
And you think Chinese are stupid? No. If Chinese have that kind of horrible government, that kind of horrible political system, Chinese already threw them over a long time ago, which China already did. That's why we have our political system, and we support our political system. Our political system uses the reality to show you China keep going up, and your democracy keep going down.